Joining me now is Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas, a Biden-Harris campaign national co-chair. So welcome, Congresswoman. It's great to see you. So Texas actually was ground zero on abortion restrictions.
Absolutely.
We saw it with Wendy Davis and all those protests for years before, before Dobbs.
Yeah.
And now what Chuck Todd was just saying as you were walking in was that there was a Kamala Harris on the abortion issue is so different than Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Because unlike other men, he just is of a generation and of a background that he was never comfortable talking about abortion, and certainly not with the empathy of his vice president.
Yeah, well, this is an issue that the vice president has always taken as hers. This is something that she was out on the campaign trail, making sure that women felt comfortable with this administration going forward, knowing that they would fight to preserve their rights. And when you talk about Texas being ground zero, it wasn't that Texas was ground zero. Texas still is ground zero. In January, the Republicans in Texas plan to introduce a measure to actually bring about the death penalty as it relates to abortion. So unlike what Donald Trump said, which we know he's a liar, alternative facts, whatever you want to call it, we did not want the Dobbs decision to take place. We did not want the overturning of Roe. And what is so sad to me as a Texan is that Roe v. Wade is a Dallas, Texas case. Henry Wade was the district attorney right there in my district. And so here it is. Texas has a rich history of giving women their rights, and now Texas history is actually going the other way. And so when the vice president says we won't go back, that's exactly what she means. We won't go back to these repressive policies that they are trying to push on us. And just so Donald Trump knows, in case he doesn't, not every state has an opportunity to actually put this to a vote, because if Texas could, we would, but we don't have that opportunity.
Interestingly, Joe Biden today tweeted out with it, "We won't go back."
Yeah.
Picking up her phrase. So he is all in.
Yeah.
Which is significant.
It is.
And the way he eased her way to the nomination, she couldn't have had it that easily without a
Yeah, no,
without a challenge, rather, if he hadn't jumped in.
No, he's been phenomenal. Another thing that Trump said that I thought was funny was that President Biden doesn't even like her. I was like, where's this coming from? Like, he just talks out the side of his mouth. You can tell that they actually have a real affection for one another. Number one, they've actually been on the trail together. You've seen their interactions. You've seen them embrace one another. And she calls him family. They are a family, unlike J.D. Vance and Donald Trump, who's like, oh, yeah, well, we haven't talked about this. How is it that you are trying to assure American women that you are going to be the best administration for them, and you fail to talk to your vice presidential nominee about the issue of abortion? That makes no sense. So either you're lying to us and you actually did talk to him, or you just are making up something else again.
Well, there was another moment like that where he was pressing her on health care, and then when she asked him where his plan is, he said, well, we have a concept. I want to ask you about Donald Trump's false claim last night that immigrants, Haitian immigrants, are eating people's dogs and cats in Ohio. It was a conspiracy theory. It's not true. I asked Republican Congressman Byron Donalds about that, who was a key surrogate, for Donald Trump in the spin room. I want to get your reaction on the other side. What did you think, Congressman, seriously, about him saying that pets are being eaten by immigrants?
I don't even care about that.
Shouldn't people worry about these things?
I want to be clear on this. That is a very minor issue happening in the United States.
But it's not happening.
But it's not happening. That's the point.
Let me finish.
But it's not happening.
Would you let me finish?
I mean, let me just ask you to react.
First of all,
to the whole issue.
It's really disappointing specifically to see Byron Donalds not just go ahead and say, I'm not sure if the former president was confused or what, considering the fact that Byron Donalds represents Florida. Florida potentially has the largest population of Haitian Americans, and the fact that he would not just say he may have been confused about a story because there's a different story that doesn't have anything to do with migrants whatsoever. He could have potentially tried to do that, but instead they just are trying to glaze over it. Donald Trump looked unhinged, as we know he is, as he stood up there and made up lies, and then he went off on these crazy fantasies, pretending as if even if there had been one person that had done that, why would you attribute an entire group of immigrants to potentially going out and stealing everybody's dogs and cats and eating them? Like, that's just insane. And the fact that this makes sense to him to bring up in a presidential debate is beyond me. But I don't know how you can watch this debate and be undecided. I could see how you walked in maybe undecided. But after watching this, you have to be concerned that the most important position that we have in the world is President of the United States. And if we've got somebody who literally doesn't know who our friends are and who's not our friends, who can't say things like, yes, I want Ukraine to win the war, what Russia did was wrong, and consistently talks about these authoritarians as if they are God themselves, in addition to making up just some of the most ridiculous lies about immigrants in a country of immigrants when he's married to an immigrant, I don't know what more you need to see.
Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas, thank you very much.
Absolutely.